Am I the a-hole for having sex with another person after my wife wanted to open up our marriage? Advice needed. Hey guys. So my wife, F30, and I, M33, are married for 8 years now. We had a fair bit of ups and downs during our marriage. 5 years ago, I found out that my wife has cheated on me with a man she knew from Tinder. She has told me that after they hooked up 3 times or so. First, I was shocked and wanted to divorce because cheating is a no-go for me. However, she told me how sorry she was and that she only loves me, and she was really trying her best to show me that I can trust her again, and I did. Now let me introduce to you my wife's best friend Chris, M31. They've known each other for 15 years or so. And whenever we had issues, she always ran to him to talk. Chris is single. He has had some relationships, but it never lasted that long. I know he has feelings for my wife. He is always telling me that he wants a girlfriend that is just like my wife and keeps telling her that I do not deserve her. I never thought much about it because in my head Chris is kind of a bootlicker and I never thought that he had a chance at my wife. Fast forward 6 months ago. We again had our ups and downs and my wife shocked me with the suggestion of opening up our marriage. I was shocked and immediately told her that I don't want that. At this point we did not have sex for like 8 months or so, she was never in the mood. And after trying many times to have sex with her, I just kinda stopped, because I did not want to push her. I love sex, and being sexless for 8 months made me really unhappy. So the more I thought about her suggestion, the more I wanted to try it out, so I agreed. She was baffled at first, but in the end we both agreed and made up some rules which involved, there are no feelings involved either from us or the person we have sex with, no sex in our apartment, we tell each other when we have sex with someone else, we always use protection. I have a coworker, F28, let's call her Sarah, she is a very flirtatious girl and I always thought she was a bit into me. One night after our shift ended, we walked to the bus stop together and I told her about the open marriage thing. She was immediately all ears and was very interested. She joked about that if I want to shoot my shot, I can always ask her, so I did. I told her about the rules and the feelings thing. She made it very clear that she finds me sexually attractive, but that there are no feelings. The next day, I talked to my wife about my coworker and she told me I can go for it. Some days later, I went to Sarah's place and we had sex. It felt good, but it was not the same feeling having sex with my wife. The following days, my wife was really quiet and we did not talk at all. I knew something was wrong, so I confronted her. I thought maybe it was because of me having sex with Sarah. Oh boy, was I wrong. She has told me that Chris and her had sex. After hearing this, I fucking screamed at her and we got into a huge fight. Not only did she break the rule of not telling me when she has sex with someone else, she also broke the first rule about the feelings. Her excuse was that we never made clear when we should tell each other when we have sex with someone else, before it is happening or afterwards. But what really tipped me off was that she was trying to convince me that Chris has no feelings for her. In her eyes, I was overreacting way too much. I did not talk to her for 2 days now, and am staying at a friend's house ATM. In my head I keep thinking that Chris is somehow manipulating her so she separates from me. So, Ada. Edit 1, seems like I am bootlicker myself, oh the irony. Update. Thanks to all the harsh comments calling me a bitch, idiot, doormat, etc., it really made me realize what a fucking loser I am. Anyhow, got an update and am also answering some questions. Yes, my wife is fairly attractive, I heard that from colleagues on multiple occasions. She's that Pilates/yoga/fitness type woman. She got a boob job 6 years ago, which I paid for, LMAO. Nice ass, brown hair, green eyes. Me on the other hand, am fairly average looking, besides my height and physique, I don't have anything else going for. Because of my wife's fitness addiction I got into it as well and as a result got pretty jacked. My best friend and I came to the conclusion that she's only with me for the financial security. I got a solid education, well-paying job, plus my parents are wealthy. My wife has not been working for 3 years or so. I was also planning on buying a house this year. Yes, I think so too, that my wife had sex with Chris, and probably other men, before the incident. Let's get to the update however. I am still at my friend's place. In my mind this marriage is over and I am filing for divorce. I tried to tell her that yesterday over the phone but she was not answering my calls for 3 hours or so I've sent her a text before going to bed, telling her that it is probably the best to separate and that I want to file for divorce. I woke up to an excess of messages. She was angry at me at first, but shifted to apologizing and wanting to work things out. We agreed on seeing each other today. So the next update will probably be the last one. Update 2. This will probably be my last update. I just had lunch with my wife and it was blatantly obvious how she was trying to manipulate me again. She has confessed everything. Her and Chris had sex for over a year now. She started crying and how it is all her fault and how she wants to get back with me. However, I've had enough of this. I told her that I'm going to file for divorce and left her crying at the restaurant. Meanwhile, I've already made arrangements with our family lawyer. I'm staying at my dad's place for a couple of days, so things can cool PFF a bit. He's very supportive and is actively helping me with the divorce. My wife wanted an open marriage, I agreed, but now that I found someone she wants to close it again. Need help to put this in perspective. 1 year ago, my wife broached the possibility of opening our marriage. We had grown apart over the years, and she felt this the good alternative to divorce. I agreed to it and of course she almost immediately found someone. A month into opening our marriage, I tried moving into the guest room, and she weakly protested against it even though she would not touch me or allow me to touch her. I relented, but when I tried again around Christmas, she didn't say anything. Last February, I finally started seeing someone. My wife took this news well, especially I think because the woman is a couple of years older than her. I didn't say anything, but the idea of divorce started getting more appealing to me. And maybe my wife has noticed because last week she started asking that we close our marriage and for me to move back in the bedroom. I refused and she seemingly took her in stride, but I heard her sobbing in her room. She started doing nice things for me, like packing my lunch for work or ironing my shirt, which I do myself and asked her to not do again because I do it better. She also tried initiating intimacy but got put off when I took out condoms and the thing died there and then. I think our marriage is over, but honestly I have no ill feelings towards her. Should I bring up the possibility of an amicable divorce? Update, 2 weeks later. Things are in a weird limbo as of now. One evening, she just started crying during dinner and unprompted apologized for the whole situation and for ignoring me for months. She said that living like this is an agony and she can't take it anymore. Honestly, seeing her breaking down like that made me feel awful, and I consoled her the whole evening. She kept burying her face against my chest and begged to not leave and just give her some kindness like I used to when we were first married. We talked, and although I apologized and feel bad for her anguish, I feel far too much damage has been done and divorce might be the best option. She didn't want to hear this. She said she is closing off marriage on her end but I can keep it open, on the condition that I give her kindness, I come back to our bedroom and that we resume having sex. And she accepts it if I want to use protection, or if I make requests. Side note, some of you guys said she was put off by the condoms because she was pregnant/baby trapping me. She's actually sterile and can't have children. She felt slighted and humiliated I took out condoms for her. We had this conversation last week, and I told her I need to think of it. The terms are skewed in my favor, but it's not right to make her live in a limbo even if she started the mess in the first place. If I decide to keep the marriage, we are closing it and that's it. Now I have to make my decision. My girlfriend is pretty much only interested in sex at the moment, and we don't have much of a relationship apart from sleeping together, and it's starting to get tiresome. I am wondering if that's what my wife felt as well when she got tired of her hookups. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I don't want to be with her if she wants to open our marriage? To start, I am 33, have been with my wife, F29, for almost 6 years. I have a good job, don't drink/party, am home every single night after work and don't go out on weekends. I cook dinners, help with the kids, and do absolutely anything I can to help make her life easier and make her happy. I should also include that I absolutely hate arguing and am extremely passive. She was married once before and has younger children from her previous marriage. When we first met, she would constantly talk about how mean and terrible her ex was, in every way, and how she was so incredibly happy to have met someone like me. While she has a lot of insecurities from past trauma, I've made an effort to spend our entire relationship building up her confidence and self-esteem. I constantly tell her how beautiful and great she is, even if she treated me poorly in the moment. Fast forward about 2 years into our relationship and now she is feeling much more confident, and incredibly beautiful. With that, she has spent the last 3 years on ups and downs of being incredibly nice to me, then treating me poorly and telling me that I need to change X, Y, and Z in order to meet her needs. She asked me to go to therapy, which I am completely on board with and support. I went to therapy for a bit but couldn't afford to keep going due to costs. I make an extremely strong effort to learn how to talk and handle situations, but it is never good enough for her, and she constantly says that I will never meet her needs as a partner. I am incredibly confused by this, because in the beginning she was the one pushing for me to marry her, against my previous thoughts on marriage. Her love feels conditional, and I feel as though I am constantly walking on eggshells trying to make her happy even though I don't feel she ever will be. A few weeks ago we got into a pretty heated argument and she discussed wanting to open our marriage so her needs could be met since I can't do that for her. I explained to her that I wasn't into this or continuing our relationship and she would have to explore on her own. She responded by telling me that I was being controlling, something I am completely against and have never done in any aspect, for not giving her the option to do this within our marriage since she doesn't know what she wants. With that being said, I felt as though I am being supportive in doing what I can to help her be happy in life, with or without me. I don't know how normal it is for a partner to start daily arguments or be unhappy with their partner in the way she feels with me. Am I the odd one out and am I the a-hole for not wanting to be a part of this, especially after all of the hurtful things she has said over the years? Feel free to ask me anything and I am more than happy to elaborate. Wife, 36F, wanted open marriage. After I, 38M, started dating, she wants to add more rules. What would you do in my position? 2.5 years ago my wife, Sarah, 36F, asked me to open our marriage. She strongly implied the alternative was divorce. After thinking it through, I said yes, primarily because we do have 2 children, I worked long hours and divorce sounded horrible. So I set up some ground rules. Not bringing dates into our house, no dating mutual friends, acquaintances, family members, collages, keeping things private. For the next 2 years I focused on my job and on my kids. I worked long hours, little free time I had I devoted to my kids. I didn't have the time for dating, so I wasn't even trying. I moved to another room because the thought of Sarah having sex with another man, then sleeping in my bed felt horrible. Our relationship became purely transactional, we became partners at raising kids. I didn't want to know anything about her sex life. This summer I managed to fulfill my financial goals. I do not have any debt whatsoever, both of my kids have enough money in their college fund, and all I have to do is to keep adding some savings every month into the fund I made for their first home deposits. So I did some math and decided to cut my work from 74 hours to just 30 per week. Sarah wanted to get indebted again to buy another house and a new car. I said no. I used my free time to finally have a vacation I really needed, took older son with me to tour US together. Did some renovation work on our house, turned basement into man cave. Started working out, play sports, leading a healthier life. Then I actually started trying to land a date. For me, just having sex with somebody is not my thing. I want to at least be a friend before that. To go out together, watch movies, have fun and have sex. So I dated a couple of women and found a Jane with whom I clicked. With Jane I was going out to concerts, art galleries, comic cons, movies. And we would boink too. Sarah wanted to talk about my dates. I said no. Then I caught Sarah snooping through my phone and we had a very strongly worded argument. Now Sarah wants to update the terms of our open marriage. She wants us repair our marriage by going to the counselor. She wants us to sleep in the same room, to go outside and have fun together. Our outside of marriage relationships are to be strictly sexual and nothing else. And we are to talk about our sexual partners. I told her that I am content with the situation as it is, and I don't mind if she finds a partner to go out with. I encouraged her to. And I don't want to talk about our partners. She is holding her ground. At this point, I'm split between trying to fix our marriage and handing her the divorce papers. I need an advice, guys. TLDR, after opening our marriage and me starting to date, wife wants to change the rules. Husband wanted an open relationship and now wants our relationship to be closed. IF, 24, and husband M, 23, of 4 years as the title suggests, had an open relationship until now. This started when about a year back my husband wanted to open the relationship since he never experienced what it was like to date other people. At first, I was vehemently against the idea since I thought our relationship was just fine as it was, but after months and months of pressuring and cold shoulders I gave in. At first, every time he went out I would be depressed and would stay at home by myself crying. I felt incredibly insecure and inadequate since it was clear he didn't want me anymore. After a little while I started getting in shape and going to the gym when he would leave. I thought that if I looked great, he would want to close the relationship again since I let myself go when we got married. At the gym I met a woman named Cindy, not real name, and she told me that she was in the same boat as me with her husband. After a few weeks, we began meeting up frequently for dinners and sometimes coffee. I would like to clarify that during these meetups, there was no intimacy between us, just long talks about our lives, childhood, interests, etc. Apparently, my husband found out about Cindy a few days ago and didn't like that I was seeing someone else when he was doing that to me. So rightfully, I called him a hypocrite since he was the one that wanted to have the relationship open in the first place. He is now demanding that we close the relationship and has forbade me from contacting Cindy, which I feel is absolutely ridiculous. Not the closing the relationship part, one wanted that from the start. I told him that I will not stop being friends with Cindy, but that he was more than welcome to close the relationship since he's the one who suggested it in the first place. I seriously don't know why he would tell me not to be friends with someone who has been there for me the whole time. I don't think I asked for too much. I didn't start dating people outside of him and I still love him. Edit, I left for a few hours, and came back to this. Thank you for all of your comments/criticisms/ and even videos. I am slowly going through them as of right now, and taking a few of them to heart. I believe I owe you clarification to those who asked. Yes, we did marry very young. We live in the Bible Belt, so marrying young is still very common. We have been together outside of marriage since we were in high school. We had grown up in the same small town, literally across the street from each other. My parents told me that I was going to marry him because God told them I would. Also, to those that were asking, Cindy and I are not a thing, we are just friends, not lovers. I don't think Cindy swings that way even if I do. I also did not see another person simply because I'm not that kind of person. I have never been on a date with anyone other than him, and since we are still in the same town, if I would have done that, I probably would be labeled a lot of things that are not too good. Once he gets home, I am going to try to talk to him about this since I am not the type to leave people without giving them a chance to speak their piece.